If you think trading is all about finding one magical strategy and then you're just set for life, well, I've got some news for you. Today, we're mapping out the real path to success. And spoiler alert, it's not a destination. It's a lifelong journey of learning and adapting. So let's jump right in.
You know, this quote really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's not just about charts and numbers. At its core, it's a commitment to your own personal growth. And that's exactly the mindset we're going to be digging into.
All right, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with the mindset, the whole lifelong journey idea. Then we'll talk about building a solid foundation, your map, if you will. From there, it's all about choosing your niche, mastering that inner game, which is huge, and of course, learning from the masters. And finally, we'll wrap up with why this path of improvement, well, it never really ends.
First things first, we have to get this straight right from the start. This is a long-term game. It is absolutely a marathon, not some mad dash for a quick buck. It's all about endurance and consistency.
Think about it. The markets are alive. They're constantly changing, evolving, and you have to evolve right along with them. You know, the traders who actually last in this business, they're the ones who embrace this cycle. They aren't afraid of being wrong. What they're truly afraid of is not learning why they were wrong. And that is a huge, huge distinction.
So where do you even begin this journey? Well, you start by drawing a reliable map. I mean, you wouldn't climb a mountain without one, right? So you definitely shouldn't be heading into the markets without a rock-solid foundation.
Building this map really comes down to 3 key steps. First, you've got to have a deep grasp of core concepts, things like price action and risk management. Next, you need to dive into the timeless wisdom from the classics of the industry. And finally, you got to know your way around the essential tools of the trade.
And speaking of classics, here are 3 absolute pillars for any trader's library. For the what, like what are all these chart patterns, you've got John Murphy. For the how to actually build systems, there's Perry Kaufman. And for the timeless why behind market psychology, you have to read Edwin Lefebvre's Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. Seriously, together, they form an incredible foundation.
Now for your digital journey, you can start right here. Baby Pips offers this amazing, free, university-style course that's focused on Forex, but honestly, the principles apply everywhere. And Investopedia, just think of it as your indispensable dictionary. A simple rule: never trade a term you can't define.
Okay, so once you've got your foundation poured, the next move is to specialize. The market rewards experts. Trying to trade everything, everywhere, all at once, that's just a recipe for disaster.
And you can specialize in so many different ways. Are you going to master the Forex markets? Are you going to become an expert swing trader? Or maybe you'll perfect a specific strategy like mean reversion. The goal is to become an absolute expert in one specific little intersection of these areas. That's where you find your edge.
And how do you prove that your edge is real? Data. It's all about the data. You can start simple, just using spreadsheets to track your performance, but as you get more advanced, you might even dive into powerful tools like Python for custom backtesting. But here's the thing, no matter which tool you use, being able to analyze your data objectively is totally non-negotiable. And now we've arrived at the biggest mountain on our entire map. And it's not the market, it's the 6 inches between your ears. Mastering your own psychology is, without a doubt, the final boss of trading. Seriously, think about it for a second. Everyone has access to the same charts, the same news, the same indicators. So what is the real differentiator? What makes the winners win?
It all comes down to one word: mindset. It's as simple and as profoundly difficult as that. Your mindset is what determines whether you actually follow your plan or you let fear and greed grab the steering wheel.
If there is one book, just one, that can completely rewire your brain for trading, this is it. Mark Douglas teaches you to accept uncertainty and to operate in the state of objective flow, where you're not predicting anything, you're just executing your edge, trade after trade after trade.
And his first book, The Disciplined Trader, really lays the groundwork for that mindset. It helps you build the mental architecture you need to act in your own best interest, especially when your emotions are just screaming at you to do the exact opposite.
The good news is you don't have to figure all this stuff out on your own. This path has been walked by giants before us, and lucky for us, they've left behind a ton of knowledge for us to follow.
On one hand, you have Schwager's Market Wizards series. It's legendary. And one of the biggest takeaways is that while all the traders have wildly different methods, their discipline is universal. On the other hand, a podcast like Chat with Traders gives you this raw, unfiltered access to today's top performers. Hearing their stories of struggle makes the whole journey feel so much more real and achievable. My advice? use both. And you can really tailor your ongoing education. Want to understand the big picture, the macro view? Check out Real Vision. Need clear, no-fluff, actionable strategies? Rainer TO is fantastic for that. Want a peek inside a professional trading firm? SMB Capital is the place to go. The point is, you get to curate your own education.
And finally, don't be a hermit. Learning is so much faster when you do it with a community. When you engage in thoughtful discussions on platforms like TradingView or Elite Trader, it forces you to sharpen your own ideas, get critical feedback, and see the market from angles you would have never found on your own.
And that's how we bring it all together. The journey, the foundation, the niche, the mindset, it all feeds into this one powerful cycle of relentless improvement. The learning, it never, ever stops.
So what is the engine that drives all this improvement? It's this. This is your number one tool. A meticulously detailed trading journal is the ultimate source of truth. It's the mirror that shows you exactly who you are as a trader, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And it all comes down to the simple, powerful cycle of growth. You trait your plan, then you journal everything. Not just the setup and the execution, but your emotions too. Then you analyze that data for patterns, both good and bad. And based on that analysis, you make small, intelligent tweaks to your strategy. And then you repeat the whole thing, forever.
So, we've given you the map. It shows the terrain, it highlights the challenges, and it points you to the tools you're going to need. The only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. Where will you take that first step?